For my 12-step program, I visited the Laurel Recovery Center in downtown Laurel, Howard County, Maryland, and I visited an Alcoholics Anonymous. So everyone there was alcoholics, and they were talking about their stories. My initial impression when I got there, at first it was a little awkward because there was only about 4 to 5 people there when I got there, and I didn't know if these 4 or 5 people had like known each other before, had seen each other, had heard their stories before, or if they were 5 complete strangers that were just now seeing each other for the first time and were kind of, didn't know what each other was going to say or how they were going to react, and were they okay with sharing. I wasn't sure if these people, were all going to be open and tell their stories and talk about their struggles and what they're dealing with, or if it was going to be, a lot of people just kind of speculating and listening to other people. So I wasn't really sure what to expect going in. So when I first walked in, I walked up to the guy that was sitting in, the main chair, and I let him know that I was here for a class. And there was a woman sitting right next to him, and she very openly welcomed me, and she asked me what class I was here for, and what I was interested in working in as a field, and she even gave me a bunch of brochures with information about AA that was really helpful, and she gave me the address to the city council where I could go to find out more information. So she was also very helpful and very welcoming, which kind of gave me a little bit more, kind of put me at ease and not so, shy being there. So I realized early in that there was a very big sense of community. Everyone there, at this point, there was about 15 people who had shown up, and everyone there welcomed each other. They were very open to each other, very inclusive. They were listening to each other, respecting each other's stories. Were active listening, looking at each other, responding to each other, and giving each other the courage to, speak and to, gave them a platform. So some successful things that I noted about this meeting was that it created a very safe space. They stressed that whatever is said here is going to stay here, and that you can be honest with yourself here because there's no judgment, and that we're all dealing with the same thing, so we all have each other's back, which was very successful. The sense of community and the safe space that they stressed was very successful. I could feel that. Another thing that I noted was everyone there can relate to each other. So it wasn't a broad meeting where, people dealing with cocaine addictions, heroin addictions, eating disorders, depression. It wasn't like a big thing. It was specifically for alcoholics, which made it easy for everyone to relate to each other and to be heard and understood, so that they don't feel alone in this process. Making it specifically for alcoholics helps people feel understood and not alone, which was very successful. One thing that I noted that was very effective about this meeting was that it was set up like a book club. So there was a book that they were reading from that had a bunch of short stories from other people dealing with alcohol and have attended AA before. It was called The Beauty Behind Sobriety, and everyone in the meeting picked a story that they could relate to, and they read it out loud and then reflected on it. So one man read a story about how he going to AA for the first time, and after he read it out loud, he talked about his experience and how it was really hard to work up the courage to actually go, but as soon as he got there, it put him at ease, and now he doesn't know where he would be without the meetings. So the book with the relatable stories in it was really effective, and everyone pretty much had a story in there that they could relate to. So one thing that I also noted was that there was a woman, so this has to do with cultural sensitivity. There was a Hispanic woman who showed up who talked about the difference between Hispanic AA meetings and American AA meetings, which was very interesting. She stressed that going to the Hispanic meetings and talking about how she relapsed is very different than when she goes to an American meeting and talks about her relapse. At the Hispanic meeting, she talked about how there's a lot more of judgment there, and she's shamed, and they make her feel really bad for relapsing. Instead of working with her to better herself, they make her feel bad about it. But when she goes to the American meetings, they kind of welcome her more. They tell her that she's bigger than her mistakes, and that she can grow from it, and that she is better than what the mistakes that she has made. So she stressed that in the Hispanic culture, you know, failing at something is a big deal. So failing at trying to better her alcoholism, she gets shamed for it, and that's not how it is at the American meeting. So to know that she can come to these American meetings and talk about her, her setbacks without feeling judged is a big thing. And that shows how American meetings here are culturally sensitive to where people come from, and they welcome them more than their culture does. So my overall reaction to this AA meeting, that compared to at the end of the meeting than when I first got there, I first felt awkward, but at the end I was actually very glad to have gone and to have been there to experience this, because I realized that these meetings are such a big, important thing in these people's lives. Everyone there stressed how these meetings keep them going, and if it weren't for these meetings, they would be lost, and they wouldn't know where to turn, and they wouldn't know who to talk to, and it almost becomes a routine, because without these meetings, they're thrown off, they're set back, and they don't know what to do. So to know that this community has this resource where people can go and get that, feel the help that they need to feel, and the courage and the reassurance and the support, was actually really, really great to feel. And I left there actually happy that these people have a safe place to go and have a resource that really helps them. And I was really thankful to have felt that, because I know that not everyone is lucky to have this resource available to them, but to know that this community close to me does, is really great.